The Lord brought you back, and he brought me back. No one else, just us. Did he do it to watch us freeze to death?
Hey everybody, so you requested a video about the multiple endings that Season 8 is supposed to have. And the other cool thing is because they just announced the Season 7 DVD is dropping later this year, that's what the weekly giveaway will be for now. So all you have to do to enter that is be a subscriber, leave a comment on this video. I'll name a new winner at the end of this too. And when people started messaging me about this, I actually thought it was false because that sounds ridiculous. HBO has a lot of money, but it takes millions of dollars and weeks upon weeks of time to film scenes that you might not ever intend on airing. So it just sounded completely ridiculous. But then I saw an article on Entertainment Weekly, which is supposed to be a legitimate website that HBO uses as a sort of mouthpiece. I'll explain how that works. Like, they basically serve as a publication for HBO to put out news that they want to put out, regardless of how true it is. So this is what it reads in Entertainment Weekly. It says, this is Casey Bloys, who's the president of programming at HBO. So he's sort of like the overlord that decides on what's happening with new seasons, what's going to happen with the prequel series that they're developing. So he's sort of like the big boss that makes the biggest decisions. So he says, I know in Game of Thrones, the ending, they're going to shoot multiple versions so that nobody really knows what happens. You have to do that on a long show because when you're shooting something, people know. So they're going to shoot multiple versions so that there's no real definitive answer until the end. So we can humor HBO for a little bit, but I think honestly, if they're going to actually do fake endings, take the time to shoot it, spend the extra millions of dollars, that's fine. That's their money to spend, as long as they end up releasing those as bonus content. Like, they'll air the straight up version, and then after the fact they can say, okay, here's all those extra versions just for fun. So I think most people took them at face value, but what's actually probably going to happen is that they'll just circulate a lot of fake scripts without actually shooting some of these scenes. There will probably be a couple moments within scenes that they film. They'll just leave the cameras running and tell the actors to do something on the fly, like they'll ad-lib some scenes.
Falling in love just makes me blue. I've had a beer and then I hear you calling out my name.
But if you remember earlier this year when Kit Harington said they filmed multiple versions of scenes to try and throw people off that were leaking stuff from the set.
I can't tell you anything. All I can tell you is that what you might have seen on the internet, anyone who follows it, might not be true. It might be true.
But it also might be true, and you might be just saying that to throw us off the case.
Yep.
Yeah. How many fake scenes were you personally involved in?
3.
3?
3 fake scenes.
3 fake scenes. How many hours did those fake scenes take to shoot?
About 5 hours each.
What were those fake scenes that he was talking about? There was actually one scene on the beachfront where he went up and kissed a giant styrofoam dragon head. And the thing is that most people identified this as false because the dragons on set are really just tennis balls. They're all completely CG, so they'll hold a tennis ball up when they're interacting with dragons. So like when Jon Snow's touching the dragon here, he's just reaching out in front of green screen. There's no physical dragon prop, so most people identified this as false. That is what he was talking about. He wasn't talking about like an extra week of filming to do a bunch of fake stuff that didn't end up happening. It was just a couple moments on the beach while they were getting ready to film another scene. So 100%, I totally think they'll do a lot more of that. They'll just leave the cameras running and they'll just put stuff in scenes that aren't going to be in the final versions. So it's just a lot easier to accomplish what you would call fake scenes when everybody's in the same place. It would have been a lot harder a couple seasons ago when you had people in a bunch of different countries at the same time. When it comes to the really critical stuff, like the actual big final moments, a lot of that is going to be shot indoors on a green screen set. Like even during episode 6, when you saw the behind the scenes, you see a lot of this is green screen. They shot a little bit of it when they're on that frozen lake, but most of that big battle is all special effects, with them getting a bunch of paper blown in their face to simulate all that snow. So a lot of the big battles with the Night King, it's going to be the same deal. There'll be moments where they're outside filming in open air, but most of the big action will be done in a computer. When they do that, it's a lot easier to control the set, so there's no drone that could fly over and see what they're doing. But I think when it comes to leaking stuff from inside the crew, like people who get their hands on scripts, I think they'll just circulate a lot of fake scripts, so you'll hear a lot of fake spoilers. There have already been a lot of Season 8 script leaks, quote-unquote, that have been verified as fake from people inside Game of Thrones. Like, nope, that is completely false. So if you've heard somebody talk about Game of Thrones spoilers in the last couple of weeks since the season ended, they're probably fake spoilers. But even though I'm intending on making a longer death predictions video list, let's actually talk about real endings. So a lot of you were surprised when I suggested the idea of Jon Snow dying, but I think, maybe people just misunderstood what I was talking about. He has a very specific purpose in Game of Thrones, or at least we think that he has a specific purpose, and that is defeating the Night King. No matter what happens to everyone else, I do think that he will be successful in that mission. It's just a question of what happens after that or in the process of that. Like, if he defeats the Night King but dies in the process. Because one of the running jokes the last couple of seasons is that Jon Snow is doing everything he can to try and die. Now, in reality, it's just the way they film things and the surprises that they try to build into episodes like Battle of the Bastards. When he rushes the field to try and save Rickon, he's rushing to his death, but it's not because he wants to die. He's actually trying to save Rickon. But when you stack that with moments like this, where everybody's escaping and he's like, no, I'm going to sacrifice myself so that you can all get away while he's killing the rest of those whites, it really does seem like he's trying to sacrifice himself for everybody. So there's just a history of evidence where he throws himself into situations like that, so that'll continue in Season 8. I think he'll be successful in defeating the Night King with Daenerys and everyone else at the same time. It won't be a singular effort. But in the legit version of the ending, I don't think that he's going to wind up on the throne. But remember, if it's true that HBO is going to do those fake endings, you could totally get a copy of the Return of the King ending where everybody has this big wedding where he gets married to Daenerys, everybody's there, Jaime gets married to Brienne, you have Tormund getting married to Alice Karstark, everybody's happy, they live to see their children grow old, you see this slow montage, Arya gets married to Gendry, becomes a lady of a castle in direct defiance of what you know that her character does not want to do. That's how you know it's a fake ending, if she does the thing she said she would never do. We can call that the soap opera ending. The other alternate ending that I'm really hoping they do, if they actually do fake endings, is the everybody dies ending and the Night King winds up on the Iron Throne. Like, you get this Daenerys vision, but then you get the fake moment of him going full-blown Lich King and sitting on a frozen throne. So you can already tell how ridiculous some of those endings sound. The idea of the bittersweet ending is the idea that the characters that you love accomplish their goals, but die in the process. So I still think that a lot of those big main characters are going to die. Not everybody, but most of them. So what'll happen is I will do my death predictions video next. That should post on Friday or Saturday. But just in the name of fun, post all your favorite fake Game of Thrones endings in the comments below. Like, what is the most fan-fiction-y, ridiculous ending that you think they could possibly do to try and throw people off what the real ending's going to be? And I know a lot of you have also asked about the prequel series. We've learned a little bit more about that. I even have an audio clip of the HBO executives talking about what's going on with that. So probably sometime next week I'll do a prequel video. They still haven't settled on what it's going to be, but they have said a lot of interesting new things about that, and George R. R. Martin on top of that. So congratulations to the latest DVD giveaway winner, Joshua Burns. Please private message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact details. I'll name a new winner the next time I post Game of Thrones. So while you wait for everything, click here to